Congressman Ryan, thank you for joining us on Picks on Politics. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, Congressman, you were sworn in last week to represent the 19th, as we mentioned, and you've already introduced your first bill, the, quote, Protecting Reproductive Freedom Act. Why is this the first bill you introduced? And this is about medical abortions, correct?
I'm a big believer in when you say you're going to do something, you should deliver, and you should deliver quickly. So we clearly campaigned on protecting reproductive freedom, protecting choice. And so now in my first weeks here to introduce legislation to ensure millions of Americans whose access to safe medication to conduct abortions is preserved. There are over 20 states right now that have already removed or working to remove access to FDA-approved medication to provide safe abortion. So the Protecting Reproductive Freedom Act ensures that every American has access to this medication and fills a significant gap right now, actually, in ensuring that all Americans' reproductive freedoms are protected.
I know that you and Democrats at large see abortion access as an existential and important political issue heading into these midterms, but your victory a month ago, which you say should kind of set the tone for Democrats nationwide, did come during a low summer turnout primary, our second primary because of a redistricting mess. How much should Democrats be reading into your race?
We talked about reproductive freedom and abortion access as an example of larger, direct, clear threats to our democracy, to our fundamental rights, the rights that I risked my life to protect as a West Point grad, as a combat veteran. Millions of people are recognizing that the extreme right is totally out of touch. From Kansas to our race to Alaska, we saw a loud and clear message. People said, these are our personal, deeply personal decisions to make about our bodies and our lives, and we don't want the government telling us what to do. That is a shared American value, and as we remind people of that, we actually saw near record high turnout for a special election, and I think that was because we stood up and gave people something to vote for, which was to protect their freedom and to protect their choice.
Well, let's talk about your race ahead, because since winning the special election to replace Lieutenant Governor Delgado, you still now face a midterm battle in the 18th district against Assemblyman Colin Schmidt. Schmidt's resume, if you will, mirrors yours to an extent. A small business advocate, Army National Guard. He has a long history in New York State, as you do. What do you see as the biggest direct differences in your race specifically?
Look, there are stark differences. While I'm standing up to protect and fight for reproductive freedom and choice, he is working to rip that away and supports a national abortion ban, which we just saw introduced this last week by Senator Lindsey Graham. When it comes to issues of public safety, he wants more of the same weapons I carried in combat, assault rifles, on our streets while our kids are getting gunned down at schools and 4th of July parties and grocery stores. He also is a clear threat, I believe, to our democracy. This is someone who has refused to acknowledge the outcome of the 2020 election, who cheered on busloads of insurrectionists from our community heading down to the Stop the Steal rally on January 6th. This is someone who we have to stop to protect our health, our safety, and our freedom.
So let's talk about some of the other issues in this race. You did mention guns. You've mentioned abortion access already. What should Congress be doing about inflation? Republicans, generally speaking, have made the argument that at the core of the inflation crisis is too much spending, but many members of your own party still want college debt forgiveness, still want child's tax credits. The merits of these programs aside, is it truly the right time to bear those costs right now?
We have to do everything that we can to recognize the tremendous pain and pressure people are feeling. And I saw this as a county executive when I worked to cut our gas tax in our county in half to provide millions in small business relief, to introduce the single biggest property tax cut in over 40 years in my county. So I'm bringing that same mindset to Washington, making sure that at every point that we can, from the gas pump to the grocery store to housing and healthcare costs, that we're bringing down that pressure on folks. For example, the Inflation Reduction Act that cuts prescription drug prices, one of the biggest drivers of cost, that cuts healthcare costs, that's extremely impactful for folks in our district, and that's something that the Congress has delivered. We have to continue to do that same thing. We're at a moment right now, and this is really what I'm here to fight for. to provide both relief and to fight for people's rights. And folks shouldn't have to choose between those two. Our campaign in the special election was certainly about reproductive rights, but it was also about providing that critically needed relief. And right now, that's what we are delivering on, and that's what we're going to continue to deliver on.
And Congressman, we got about 2 minutes here, so I want to move quickly through a couple more issues. On national security issues, you've been appointed to the House Armed Services Committee. You've mentioned your service already, West Point, 2 tours in Iraq. How will your experience and insight, and in this moment of some spending pinch that we're in as a country, influence how you see funding the Defense Department, specifically taking care of veterans, which has been a painful issue in the United States?
It's deeply personal to me, both, of course, taking care of our veterans. We've got one of our biggest VA medical centers in the district under threat at Castle Point. So I'm going to be fighting every single day to not only keep that open, but to get more funding and resources. We have to honor that promise we made to myself and fellow vets who risked our lives and to their families as well. In terms of the defense budget, I'm truly honored and humbled to be on the Armed Services Committee. We are at a moment of great instability and risk across the globe, from what's happening in Russia to the threats from China and in many other corners of the world. So this is very serious business. I'm excited to bring my direct on-the-ground combat experience and, frankly, in several cases, being on the receiving end of some bad foreign policy to make sure that we do better going forward and keep the American people safe.
And Congressman Ryan, I want to end here by asking you about your kids. I too am a father of a youngster, almost 3 years old. I know you have 2 young children, one about that age, one a little bit younger. Tell me, what is having your kids, especially during the pandemic, a real rocky time to start a young family, as both of us know. How has that informed your life in public service?
Well, I think it's both sometimes made it harder or more complicated to make sure that we're keeping the kids taken care of. But in terms of driving me and giving that energy and that purpose, I am really, really worried about what our future is going to look like here in a deep way. Are they going to be able to afford to live here? Are they going to live in a safe community and country and world? And so when I think about my 2 boys, they're 3 years old and 9 months old. I'm just going to fight with every ounce of everything that I have to stand up for them and every single resident of this district. So they both exhaust us and energize us, as all parents can, I think, identify with.
Well, I feel that sentiment. Congressman Ryan, thank you for joining us this morning. Best of luck in your race, and we will be making efforts to reach out to your opponent as well.